Hey, how's it going, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner, live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. I'm your host, Nate Mullins, and this week I'm joined by special guest, Tiffin Columbian head football coach, Judd Lutz. How are we doing, Coach?
I'm great. How are you?
As always, I'm doing great. Even better now that I get a chance to spend some time with you sitting under the learning tree this week.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Once again, our show this week brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, your legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Once again, we got the wizard, Greg Kinn, on the ones and twos. If you're watching with us, please do us a favor. Like, follow, subscribe. That all helps us, but share the video. It helps us reach new audiences. Coach, let's talk about some football here. Year 10, right? Is it 10?
Yeah. A decade.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does. Days are long, years are fast.
Talk about your growth. I mean, not only as a coach, but just as a person in that time. I mean, you've obviously a couple kids since that time,
Yeah.
building a family now.
Yeah.
A lot of growth in 10 years.
Yeah. Moving 10 years ago, moving to Tiffin, and weighed about 205 pounds and had one kid at the time, and now I went up in weight. A lot of stress eating when you become a head football coach and have some roles. But we're back down. We're within a healthy weight, but now we got 6 kids, and it's been a great 10 years. Only changed houses a couple times and roles and responsibilities, but a lot of growth for sure. As a young man and into a somewhat older man. When I first took the job, there was a lot of a good mix of guys, assistant coaches and stuff with experience, and this year it was kind of like daunting, like looking around the room, and there's only one guy on staff older than me now, and that was not the case a couple years ago. So,
yeah, a lot of new faces on that staff this year.
Yeah, slowly building things and getting new blood in, and guys who have been around for a long time, but I just barely outrank within a couple months or years, and so it's been great.
So talk about this schedule so far. You've been through a gauntlet already. I mean, I know we talk about it every year, but for those who aren't familiar with your process, talk about how scheduling these tough opponents at the beginning of the season prepares you, not just for conference play, because obviously the Lake is tough, but postseason play. You're going on what? This is years. You've had 7 straight years of qualifying for the playoffs, so
yeah,
you got to be doing something right here.
I like to hope so. Hopefully there's a couple people out there that think I do a decent job as well, but
I know.
Scheduling's interesting. It's tough. We got to find non-conference games, and a lot of them compared to some throughout the course of the first 5 weeks, and then you got to find teams that are also open, don't have games, teams that are, I should say local, but they haven't been local. They've been anywhere and everywhere around the state. So it's jumped around all throughout the state, and I'm probably a bad example of someone who preaches, as an assistant principal, walking away from a fight, turning the other cheek, everything the Bible says about diligence and discipline. I have a really hard time with that athletically and football-wise. So, we get knocked off by Chardon in a regional final game. And a couple years later, it's like, oh, we both have openings week 3. And it's like, that's a great, yep, let's play that game. Yeah, because,
some people might consider that a glutton for punishment.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Or the love of you're an abuser or abuser. I don't know. That's what some coaches have kind of claimed.
I love it,
but,
though.
Yeah, that's the reason we have played, the Avon Lakes of the world, the Chardons of the world, now the Bishop Watersons of the world in regular season play. But
you guys don't back down. That's the thing. You don't back down from a challenge, and that's what I love about you guys. The way you put your schedule together, it's just every year I'm like, are you kidding me? They scheduled them?
Yeah.
There's always a surprise that I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this year you had a couple of top teams in the state. Obviously, Bishop Watterson didn't go the way you wanted it to, but that Buckeye game, that was exciting. I mean, they got away from you early, but you clawed your way back, fought your way back, almost came away with a win there.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of really tough teams. You were able to show your mettle in that Medina game. Now, talk about how that kind of plays into the rest of the season? How can you take anything from that into the next game, into the next game, into the next game, into the rest of the season? Is there something you can draw from?
You better. Yeah. We kind of go back. I first took over the job. A lot of the scheduling was kind of done what I inherited. There wasn't a lot of openings and creating things. And so, we had an early season game in 2018 against a really good Anthony Wayne team. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about them, we scrimmage now them every year, develop a relationship with their head coach. They have a really good team every year. Very physical, very fundamentally sound. good scheme, et cetera, in a bigger school, Division II school.
Yeah.
And we played them in an early season game. It was either I think it was a week 2 game in 2018. And, every year you turn over about a third of your team. You graduate a class and you have a freshman class coming in as sophomores. And so therefore, depending on your returning team, anywhere from 20-some% to 30-some% of your team is probably different starters and role players, whether they're backups, whatever. So long story short, we go there and we have a tough game. We end up losing at their place, and some players kind of got exposed in some spots at what they were not good at yet, or what they were maybe not going to be good at ever. You never know. Right. And if you don't experience those tough early season games, I'd rather find out those answers weeks 1, 2, 3, rather than in a meaningful conference game, league game, or obviously in the playoffs. And so we don't schedule losses. I told our players from day one, I don't put the Cleveland Browns on, even though they're awful. So not that we would beat them, but we don't put on somebody that we think, yeah, we got no chance against these guys. But obviously, you run the risk of losing. Yeah. It is what it is, but I'd rather run the risk of losing and having our kids exposed to the best of the best around the state, and hopefully good atmospheres and good competition and put out good film against good people, and also have a better chance of refining yourself than go beat up on somebody and learn nothing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
It is what it is.
Now, talk about this group of seniors. You got a great group this year. Talk about the leadership that they're providing.
Yeah, it's not a big group. It's a smaller group. They've been small in numbers kind of ever since they were 8th grade, freshman year, but they've come a long way. So this group, working at the middle school for the last 10 years, I knew these kids clear back as 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders. So seeing their growth at the middle school and then coaching them at the high school level has been awesome. Some big key role players and young men who have grown as young men has been really impressive and awesome to experience. And it reinforces your why and why you do what you do beyond football. And, we've leaned on those guys. They're big players in key times throughout the season. You put on the tape, 4 senior captains for a reason. They're big-time players and have done a great job this year.
Yeah, they put some good film out there for sure. They're flashing. Now, you've already met your win total from last year. What do you think is different about this year's team compared to last year's at this point in the season?
Just different team altogether. Obviously you turn over a number of kids. Last year we were playing a lot of these younger guys that are now juniors. We played a lot of them as sophomores last year due to injuries, due to just numbers, due to them being pretty good players and earning that right. So having them back with that experience has been really big. And so the difference between last year and this year is kind of getting it done in a couple close games, having probably a little bit more experience at some key positions to find a way in the win column. But at the same point, what I love about this team is we found a way to win some games, but Saturday morning has still, looking in their eyes and talking to each other, not satisfied. And I wouldn't say disappointed, but just disdain for how we've won, I guess, because we expect better. And we expect to, that's where the measuring stick is. It's ourselves. We're not measuring our stick against who we play that week. It's really ourselves. And if we don't feel like we are executing and doing our best, then it's a disappointment. And that's kind of how it's been a couple weeks. Even when we've won games, it's kind of like, dang, we could have done so much better, though.
The standard is the standard.
Standard is the standard, yeah.
I mean, that's how it goes, Now, every team develops an identity as the year goes on. We're going into week 8 now. What kind of identity do you feel like this Tornado squad has built?
I still think evolving a little bit. I feel like defensively we've put together some really good performances in several ways. Giving up a couple scores that we should not have given up, and that's been frustrating. Offensively, looked really good at times, but inconsistent at times, which is frustrating. So still evolving. I think special teams has been a huge emphasis this offseason, entering this year, and has stepped up in a big way for sure. So just executing in all 4 phases, offense, defense, special teams, and sideline juice. And still evolving to be the best version of us in all 4 of those categories. So
I like that.
The combination of winning is always changing. We don't want to get into shootouts. We don't want to have nail-biter, close games, that are 3-0. But if that's what it takes, we feel like we can hopefully kind of get it done in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's kind of what your MO has been since you've been there. Get it done any way, shape, or form, any way you can. Now, when you look at the way this defense, you talked about the defense, they've played so well. Been able to get some stops when you need them. You held most of your teams at or under 20 points on this schedule so far. What do you think is the biggest strength of this defensive unit?
I think it's another year in the system. We always are tweaking and evolving things. Last year was a big change. Entering, we kind of knew that. Like, hey, we're going to have a lot of new starters, brand new backups. We kind of, through some people I really respect and talk football with consistently, have always kind of teetered on a couple of the things that we're doing now, and we kind of did it match our personnel last year. We felt like it did, and so kind of really evolved to some of the stuff we're running right now. And so it's brand new for everybody, coaches, players included, and so we kind of dipped our toe in the water, got into some things, and obviously with a ton of young kids, it's a very heady defense as far as checks and matching things on the fly with motions, and it's not just, YouTube blitz and that's it. Like, there's a lot of matching and reading of routes and passing off things on the back end, and also changing fits up on the front end and stuff. So
I can imagine there's a lot of communication going on.
A ton of communication.
Who's your green dot guy out there?
I wish I had a green dot guy.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I wish we could talk to a player like right in his ear as opposed to
who's the guy
screaming it from the sideline. We feel like we have guys at all 3 levels. We feel like we have great leadership up front on the D-line. We feel like we have great leadership at the linebacker position and great leadership on the back end too, and that's really what it takes. It takes from up front, clear to the back end, and from the back end up to the up front, actually, with some of the communication. So just being in year 2 of that system has definitely been a huge benefit for our kids, and having some of those guys back this year, making some of those calls, and their comfort level being elevated and playing with confidence as opposed to reactionary, being very playing offense on defense is how we like to call it.
I like that. Now, you've dealt with some injuries this year. You had to shuffle your lineup a little bit. Some new faces stepping up. Who has surprised you the most with the way they've kind of handled a bigger role?
That's a great question. Who has handled it? The critical coach in me is I have a hard time saying anyone's a surprise, because I always think that they can do better than what maybe they do. I think one of the new faces, brand new faces, kid newer to our school last year and stepping up in a big role, and has been, a big vocal leader, a juice guy. Really from, early on in the season and gaining confidence. Deontay Moore, one of our corners. He's a junior, brand new to our school system last year, kind of during the fall, actually, and just interesting story. And great kid and grown a lot. He's not been, I would not say a surprise in any way, but just like a breath of fresh air as far as a new position goes, something like that. Big surprise, man. That's a good question.
Just maybe in their ability to be able to handle this bigger role that you're giving them. Maybe they're playing both ways. You only had them on one side of the ball to begin with or something.
Yeah. My wife's trying to give me a signal. Who are you saying over there, babe? She says Brock Cecil. She calls him Brock Cecil. There, she's mistaken. That dude's name, that's Chuck Diesel.
That's Chuck.
Chuck Diesel, because that's the expectation.
That's right.
We've seen these guys do it in the background, and it's cool. Obviously, when they get notoriety in front of fans and stuff like that, but just reinforcing what they kind of have done in the darkness, now into the light. Yeah,
I know those guys are dogs. I coached against them in youth football for a few years. I remember Chuck Cecil was the kid that he was in the backfield every play, every single play. He had a nose for the football, and Dalen Brandenberry was just a big play waiting to happen. Anytime you get the ball in his hands, it's like, look out.
Yeah, electric.
So good examples. I like that. Thank you, Mrs. Coach. I like that. So talk about Logan Gooding. Stepping up in a big way. He's been stellar this year. Talk about his development. This year, he's kind of grown into this role as a starting quarterback as the season has progressed. Now, he sat out last year. What do you think about his maturation and his development this year?
He's come, people say, "Oh, he's come a long way. He's come a long way." Like we've seen glimpses of greatness early on and the ability to do everything for sure, and just getting more consistent, understanding his role, and last week against like Norwalk, just kind of watching things, and I was frustrated. I feel like, man, he could have done some things here. He could have done some things there. Like, man, why are we not executing? Why are we not, scoring some more points? And, talking with some coaches, and then I put on the tape, and I'm like, dang, that was a really good play by him. Dang, that was a really good play by him. What were his stats? Oh, he was 21 of 29 for 243 and three touchdowns or something. It's like, okay, I'm being kind of critical, which is good, like that, and that's what he likes.
That's where you need to be, though.
And
he feeds off of that. I know he does.
Yeah, and he's a great player and only getting better day by day. And we're going to lean on him. Your quarterback's got to get hot in big games. I think he knows that. We know that. And there's nobody, I trust more to get hot in some key moments than that guy.
I love it. Now, you've had a lot of different groups over the years at the helm here. What's different about this group compared to some of the other groups you've had in that locker room? I know I asked you that earlier, but I want to know what separates this group this year. What do you think is kind of the MO?
I think, outside looking in and being in it, I feel like this group has a ton of respect and demand of each other too. There is no we've had some classes where it's very sophomore class only hangs out with sophomore class, junior class only hangs out with junior class, senior class only, and sometimes there's a good thing about that, as far as a respect for your elder sort of thing, and I think there is that for sure. But I think these guys is a very, very good blend of everyone understanding hey, it's all hands on deck. Yeah. We need everybody. And I think that's what I see when I see the conversation on the side between our players, when I see the conversations in the locker room, when I see them interact. You kind of forget that, that's like a senior and a sophomore kind of hanging out and talking and, shooting the crap and or talking football. Or a junior and a senior, a junior and a sophomore. All three classes, or even freshmen, obviously getting involved too a lot of ways with what they do with us. So
I think that just tells about the story about the culture that you're building there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it really does. You've done a great job over the years of, the LDRR right on your license plate, man, and you've done a phenomenal job of not only building the pillars of that foundation that you've been trying to build for so long, but I mean, you're seeing the fruits of your success now, and you just talked about it, the atmosphere that you're building in that locker room. I mean, it's breeding not just champions but leaders.
Hopefully, we talk a lot about in Corinthians, the body of Christ, and how we talk about there is no part more important than any other.
That's right.
The ear cannot say to the mouth, this, such, and so we talk about that and the meaning of those things within our classes. The senior cannot say to the junior cannot say to the sophomore cannot say to the it all has a purpose.
Yeah,
it all has a purpose. The body of Christ has a purpose. Every one of you has a role. Star in your role. And your roles may change. We talk a lot about that too, and how your role may change significantly in one snap. And don't be displeased with your role. Maybe want more, but at the same point, star in your role. And so that's the biblical sense that I'm going to bring to our kids. They know that. And hopefully they buy in.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, I want to step aside, take a quick timeout, but when we come back, we're going to break down this matchup between Columbian and the B team.
The B team.
Homecoming night this Friday night. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, your legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. We'll be right back.
My stomach is messed up.
The game's almost over. Can't you wait?
No, I gotta go right now.
Wow, really?
Swung on, hit to center, well hit. Back, and this one's gone. A home run for Connor Moyer on an 0-2
Needed
pitch.
that.
Smokes it to dead center. That's
Oh,
probably at least
man, are you
360.
kidding me?
It happens. Never miss a moment. Heart of Ohio Sports. Stop down to Benchwarmers in Tiffin or call it in for delivery. Fresh cut fries, locally sourced ingredients, and phenomenal service. Give the Tiffin store a call at 567-268-9268 and place your delivery order now. Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. You're locked into the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
heart of Ohio sports.
Welcome to Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, your trusted community credit union for over 70 years. We're not just a credit union, we're your personal financial counselor. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union is a full-service financial institution tailoring solutions to your needs. Whether it's your first home or planning for the future, we're here to help you find success. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, a legacy built on trust, commitment, and community.
Your legacy, your legacy.
All right, and we're back here with the Coach's Corner live at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Once again, I'm here with our special guest, Coach Judd Lutz of the Tiffin Columbian Tornadoes. 4-3, 3 straight wins, Coach. Now, you started off a little rough, but you have righted the ship, and now you're going into this one. Both these teams matched up at 4-3 on the season. Now, the B team coming off a home win over Huron last week. Is there anything that you can take from that film that you can maybe use for preparations? Because you guys have both played the Tigers, so.
Yeah. Now that we have, they're not a conference team, so we exchange films with, our conference pool. And so, like, when we play our conference foes, we know that they have every game on us. But when you play a non-conference team, so when we play Huron, when we play B-Town, there's not a mandatory exchange of a number of tapes.
Yeah.
But long story short, we have every tape on them. They have every tape on us. And it's just a handshake agreement, like, we know you have found a way to get our film. We know that you know.
This isn't like a Connor Stallions thing going on here?
No. So with that, like, they have some built-in tendencies. We have built-in tendencies. And you got to, factor in that, it's a chess game, right? Like, they know that we know that they do these things well, probably. They know what we do well. Do we know that they know that we know that they know of what we do well and what we don't do well? And so it's kind of the transparent. We know what you have. You know what we have.
Put the cards on the table.
Put the cards on the table.
That's right.
So, there's things we can pull out from that game for sure. But every game obviously tells a story and what they're trying to get done offensively, defensively, and injuries and kids getting banged up, who can play, who cannot play. That's an evolving door and story too. So it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you got homecoming this week. Now, how do you balance the excitement? You got a lot of distractions with your guy. How do you keep them focused, locked in on Friday night?
Yeah, you just talk about, obviously, the dance being a whole lot more fun with a win.
That's right.
The weekend and pictures being a whole lot more fun with a win. The experience just being, a whole lot different with positivity versus negativity and stuff. And, we've done a great job, focusing on what we control, what we can't control, embracing, all the extra stuff and having fun with it. Yes, don't shy away from it. Enjoy it for sure. But just make sure that you are not taking away from what you need to do to be successful. Don't miss meals, don't miss sleep, don't miss hydration, don't miss film. Don't miss portions of practice. Do like you would normally do throughout the week, and then if you got time for the extra, things, enjoy it for sure.
That's right, and that's what it's about. You got to make time. You got to have balance at this time of year, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, is there anything different that goes into a rivalry game like this? Now, I'm talking like crossing out the B's all over the school campus. Like, what are you guys doing? Is there anything different that goes into this?
Anything extra as far as crossing out? No, I don't cross. I never wear red.
I know that. I wasn't even going to ask that question. There's no red policy at practice. I know that.
Yeah, I don't wear red. I kind of tell our players, like, I don't want to see red. The only thing that's red is Logan Gooding's, red practice jersey, just to stay the heck away from him during practice non-contact periods, and I allowed him to wear it this week still. I didn't make him change into, like, a green or gold one.
No orange?
Yeah. But besides that, I just probably lean into it. I think our kids enjoy leaning into the rivalry and some of the history about it. So we talk about, like, why is it a rivalry, first off? Why is it a rivalry? Well, over a 20-year span, I think it was, us or them won a share of the league title at the time, like 18 out of 20 years. The overall record but I believe stands at 47, 45, and 2, meaning we've won 47, they've won 45, and we've tied twice in the history of our rivalry. So balance, right? Like they're winning, we're winning,
incredible.
vice versa. You know, two great coaches at the time, you know, Ed Nasani, Steve Gilbert, starting their tenures at similar times and going to battle for years and years and years. So having two long tenured coaches, you know, and then I get to kind of inherit that, and he's still coaching at the time. You know, last year was his last year, and so kind of picking up and making that and continuing that rivalry was a big deal to me for sure, and I leaned into that for sure with our kids, and so just those things. No disrespect of any kind. You know, the interesting thing is, you know, Ed and I have had a lot of conversations, you know, on the field, off the field and stuff, and a ton of respect there too. So it's not a disrespect sort of way. Early in my career, I may or may not have rolled down windows and spit as I entered town and left town, but
never bought gas in that town, have you?
No, never have. Never spent a dime on food.
I mean,
food, gas, nothing. Get in, get the heck out as quick as possible.
if you think about it, it's almost more of a respect thing. You're showing respect because you chose them to be the rival. I mean, you got
for sure
10 people every year, and you're like, these guys, we want the best,
sure.
you know?
I mean, since you've taken over, you've breathed some life back into this rivalry. Now, talk about what this matchup means to you personally. I mean, you've been both a player and a coach. You've been on both sides of this. Talk about what it means to you.
It's big. I mean, you know, what I try to do, I guess, is stress all three levels, meaning our past, our present, our future. In our past, this is a big deal to our past because they've been a part of it. They know, you know, what that feather, just seeing a red feather, like, induces blood boiling, you know, emotions and going over there, and, you know, it means something. And when you see them coming to our place, it means something. And so you have to push that upon the present and shine light on it. So, you know, we played them every single year since I've been back, even though it's been non-league, but still same conference, but cross league sort of stuff. And they've been important games, dang near every year. And you throw out the records, you know, some of the best games that we have played when we weren't good early on were against these guys. Yeah. And we were in games when they were good. And similar for them. You know, when we had some really good teams and they were kind of down, they were dog fight, scratch and claw games. And so they've been big games when we've been good, they've been bad, and vice versa. And then we got a lot of games similar to this year where we're both teetering on trying to be really good and make a postseason run. So it's a big game for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this Bellevue team, this doesn't look like an Ed Nasani Bellevue team. They look a little different this year. A lot more passing, balls being kind of evenly distributed. They got a lot of playmakers that they're trying to get the ball in the hands of. How tough is it to prepare for them with a lot of those mixed looks that they're giving you on film?
You know, you do your homework. You know, right when they hired Coach Shepard, you know, try to figure out who is this guy, where does he come from, what does he do, what's he going to lean into, that sort of thing. And so just so happens his most recent tenure was at Buckeye, actually, who we have a little bit of history with. You know, played them this year, played them in the playoffs in the past. So, like, okay, what did he do there? Oh, he was a part of the offensive staff. So, okay, is he going to bring that system with him? What's it going to look like? And so start doing your homework and kind of preparing for the unknown, and then you see that evolve throughout the course of the season. You know, excited to obviously see them later in the season to kind of see how they have evolved and how they've meshed, you know, what they've done really well with what he wants to do, you can tell, and put his fingerprints on things. And it is a mesh. You know, they do some stuff they've always kind of done in similar ways, and then they definitely have some new things. And so it'll be a good challenge. Yeah, distributing it around to several key guys, not leaning on, you know, they've been a historical last couple of years, a heavy quarterback run team for sure. Not so much of that. He's very capable. He's, in my opinion, the best athlete at quarterback, but just not carrying it, you know, 30 sometimes a game sometimes it feels like. So
that's probably a good thing for him long term.
Yeah, and, you know, child abuse charges and stuff will not be looming. As I always told Ed, you know, I wanted to call, you know, the cops on him and what he's done to quarterbacks over the years. But, yeah.
Now, this is a pivotal matchup. It could have some implications further on down the line for both you guys, obviously. Now, you both look pretty evenly matched on paper. What are the keys to victory on Friday night?
I think taking care of the ball. You know, they talk about winning the turnover battle. It's cliche, but it really is. You know, creating a short field, creating that momentum is big, and turnovers often do that. I think special teams play too. Having an explosive return, not giving up one. Field goals. They're kicking them now. They're kicking extra points. We feel like we have a really good field goal team too. So a lot of those things, those small margin things that can make a huge difference, are probably going to be evident in this game for sure.
Connor Reese has done a phenomenal job for you guys this year.
Yeah,
he's
been
really
huge.
He's been huge. And I mean, not saying that you haven't had good kickers in the past, but this is it's nice to see you guys having that. Just that's in your back pocket. Anytime you have that, anytime you're inside the 30-yard line, you pretty much have that to go to. So that's got to be a luxury.
Yeah, it's a great option to have, and he's been a big part of some success this year for sure.
So what's the message to Tornado Nation?
Come out, man. It's going to be an exciting game. Great weather. It's starting to feel almost like fall, hopefully. Homecoming, so obviously a great excuse to come out and support us. And they're going to be pleased with the effort. These kids put in a lot of work for a calendar year, for just a couple home games, and we're finally getting some. We've been on the road for a long time, 5 out of the first 7. So it's good to be home, and hopefully they show up, show out, and we give them a lot to cheer about, and we use that to our advantage.
Home cooking for the next 3 weeks, folks. Pack that stadium. Come on down to Frost-Kalnow Stadium. We'll be there. We'll be live on the call. Dom Helmstetter, Tommy Hall, Greg the Wizard Kin will be there for that one. Make sure you tune in. That'll be on Facebook, YouTube, and on our Twitch channel as well. Once again, Coach, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Nate.
Absolutely. Coach Judd Lutz, our guest this week on the Coach's Corner. If you've made it this far, folks, please do us a favor. Share the video. Like, follow, subscribe. That helps us so much, but please help us out. Share the video with all your friends. Once again, Coach's Corner is brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, your legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. For Greg the Wizard Kin, I'm Nate Mullins, signing off. Have a great night, everybody. You've been watching Heart of Ohio Sports.